2, 3, go. We're good? Everybody good?
I'm good.
Yeah.
All right.
Greetings, Time Lords. You are listening to the Doctor Who 50th Anniversary Drunks and Dragons Geekly Inc. podcast special. With me is myself, Mike Bachmann, and Taylor Bliss,
Hello.
and Sarah Thompkins.
Allons-y.
So yeah, Doctor Who 50th anniversary special just happened. We all watched it, I assume. Yeah, Taylor, did you watch it?
Oh God.
It's if you haven't watched it, Google it real quick. It's an episode called "The Fires of Pompeii." Really good, just really great stuff.
Hop in your TARDIS.
Of Pompeii, Doctor Who. Okay,
Yeah,
it was an automatic search pop-up. Like they already know what's up.
Yeah, they already know. Side note, I just found out that Karen Gillian was in that episode. I never knew that.
Yeah, she was one of the seer people.
Yeah, this is news to me. I just found it out today.
So was Peter Capaldi, however you want to say his name.
Yeah, for sure he was there. I did know about that, but I didn't know Karen Gillian. It's probably all the makeup. And also the fact that I had no idea who the fuck she was.
Right. She had they had like scary things on their hands then, right?
Yeah, eyes.
Yeah, that was distracting.
So that Doctor Who Day of the Doctor jam, what'd you guys think?
I mean,
it
was good.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
I really liked it. It
It had some feels. I don't know. How'd you guys feel about the feels meter?
The feels meter?
Yeah.
The feels meter, there was like that point when they were talking about how you hear the noise of the TARDIS, that wheezing noise, and it makes you feel like hope. I was like, yeah, no, I get that right here.
Yeah, I didn't get so many feels there, but I did get some strong badass feels. When we should it goes without saying, but there's gonna be 8 million spoilers because we don't care at this point.
Listen, at this point, if you're listening to this, why else are you listening to this other than the fact that you're like, man, I saw that 50th anniversary. I can't wait to hear what anybody else has to say about it.
Could you imagine us trying to talk around it for an hour?
Oh my god. So when the guy, you see that,
oh, man.
that
and then you had 3 guys all at the same time.
so many
Right.
guys.
Oh man.
my
And then there was
God.
the girl who hasn't been there for a while, and she was there.
It was just great.
It was so good.
No, but I didn't get it so much then, but I got it with the Peter Capaldi's eyes.
Yeah,
Right at the
that
end.
was awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to admit, I didn't know whose it was before until I looked it up afterwards. I'm sorry. I feel bad.
You didn't know that Peter Capaldi was going to be the next Doctor?
Well, I mean, I knew that the next Doctor had been announced, but I just had completely forgotten it. And I also don't know Capaldi's eyes by, just,
Right. I mean, yeah. I mean,
I
well,
haven't memorized them yet.
right, but as soon as they say 13 and show
13,
eyes,
yeah.
it's pretty obvious that it's going to be the
Listen,
next guy regardless.
I was working, it was busy, and, very... I stopped hating on me. Very combative.
We're gonna hate on you right now.
Very combative.
But yeah, obviously, of course, this episode, David Tennant was back, Matt Smith was there, and John Hurt.
Well, my first thought was that cause I love Matt Smith. I have loved Matt Smith since the beginning, sort of. But when David Tennant was on, I realized how much I miss David Tennant being
Right.
a Doctor.
Right.
I really miss him.
I mean, God, his Christmas special when he left was...
Ugh.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That was a feeler.
I was gonna say with all of this whole episode when they were talking about how many billions of children were dying, I was like, this is really depressing. Are you sure this isn't supposed to be a Christmas special right now? Because
Yeah, right.
usually the Christmas special is the most depressing thing in the world.
And being Matt Smith is dodging the question, and Tennant's like, no, 2.74 billion.
Yeah, I thought that was really interesting.
The thing that about David Tennant that just kind of bothered me this episode is I'm so used to him being having the answers to everything and being just the star of the show, and having him have to share that with 2 other doctors, I thought detracted from Tennant's Doctor a little bit. I mean, it's still great. I loved it, but
Well,
Yeah.
I think it detracted from all of them being the Doctor. Really, I think that they all. I mean, it's tough when you have three characters that need to take a backseat to each other.
right.
And
Right.
so you have three people, none of whom can take the spotlight because they're all supposed to be, instead of having three separate spotlights, they have one spotlight that must be shared between all three of them. And
Right, and-
you had to be, it seemed like it felt like they were dumbing down the characters pretty much at all times.
Right, and I think that especially in David Tennant's case, you had Matt Smith, who's the current Doctor, so you don't want to make his part incredibly small, and then you had John Hurt, who was kind of in a weird way the main Doctor in the
Mhm.
episode,
Oh,
just
yeah.
because they were focusing, it was his storyline essentially. So you had this guy who hasn't ever been the Doctor, although I did love John Hurt, and then you had the current Doctor. So I think that Tennant sort of got smashed in the middle. And I'm
Mhm.
glad that he was a part of it, but I agree that it was kind of strange to see him not sort of stealing the spotlight. 'Cause I think
Yeah.
that he's super charismatic.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
there's-
mean, they none of the Doctors had those kind of. I mean, it seemed like they kind of managed to force them in, but none of them had the really big eureka moments, which kind of is the staple of an average Doctor Who episode, where they come
Right.
up with this really brilliant plan. I mean, they tried to have those when they were all like, "Oh, there's three Doctors, let's come up with a plan," and they all acted like they had that moment, but it didn't
Mhm.
feel the same.
right.
Or
Right.
like with the wood door, where it would take 400 years for the sonic screwdriver to decode it. Even then, the idea didn't come from them. It came from the freaking Rose Tyler box. I don't know what.
Right, yeah,
What
the
was the name
moment.
of the thing?
Right.
The moment.
I think he just called it like the interface or something, but
Well,
it was like
I guess the interface.
the self-destruct thing.
The self-destruct.
There is always in every episode, like either beginning or ending season, there's always some sort of self-destruct thing. There's always some mutually assured destruction, I feel like.
Yeah.
But
Well, there
no,
was literally a self-destruct countdown. in this
right,
episode.
I was gonna say. I did like the way that they brought back Billie Piper though, because Rose is my favorite companion, and
Mhm.
I'm glad that they didn't make her Rose though. In a
Yeah,
weird way.
yeah, for sure. It's a reference and not hey, let's like sit here and I mean Stephen Moffat has said like numerous times that he doesn't want to dwell in the past. I mean that's probably why Captain Jack hasn't been back and wasn't really back in the
Right.
episode except for like a subtle nod. Um,
Yeah.
they just he'd prefer to leave that kind of stuff behind, and so it was a good way to kind of have your cake and eat it too by bringing back Rose but not bringing back Rose.
Right. Yeah, and I think that I read somewhere that he said basically like since Billie Piper was sort of the start of New Who, he wanted to bring her back. I think that was at least a nice nod.
Mm-hmm.
Same with having Tom Baker as the curator, which made me super excited.
Yeah, it seemed to surprise a lot of people that actually. I mean, I know that Baker was playing kind of like a little cat and mouse game leading up to this.
Yeah.
Where he was saying that he wasn't doing it, and then also simultaneously hinting that, of course, I'm doing it. But I think that at the same time, having Tom Baker in the episode at all, and I'm sure we'll get to this eventually about the kind of mess that is being made of one of the main continuities by having Tom Baker show up, as far as the regenerations of the Doctor goes.
Right.
Well, I don't think they ever they kind of made this a lot of cryptic speak about him being the Doctor, but they never said, okay, this is actually Tom Baker's Doctor. It's clearly not, because Tom Baker never got that old before he regenerated. Right. So it's not like there's really any sort of plot hole there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying that old Tom Baker is another incarnation, another regeneration of the Doctor, but what I'm saying is that
would be the most bullshit regeneration. hey, it's the same as one you've had before, only shitty now.
I picked wrong.
Now his body don't work so good.
No, but what I mean is that, they throw a lot of cryptic messages by saying, when I got old, I chose to wear the face of an old Doctor. It adds a lot of questions of what happens, and the way the regeneration has always worked, or at least as far as we've seen it, has always been the end of a previous or the life of a previous doctor ends, and then a regeneration occurs, and he assumes a new body with a new face. And then so to all of a sudden throw in there that the doctor can then become either the same person without a regeneration with a different face. I mean, it's just very weird to kind of throw that curveball in there. But I mean, not to mention the fact that we're essentially seeing the end of the regeneration cycle, because as far as canon goes, they've said that there's 12 regenerations, so 13 doctors total. And obviously this show is likely not to be discontinued anytime soon.
Well, and they've had they've had stuff in the past where the Master gets extra regenerations, and he eats a green mushroom and now he can regenerate again. I mean, that's
God,
it could even
you
be.
would think that they would just start growing those mushrooms, right?
Just start a farm. The Time Lords, red grass and green mushrooms.
Organic Time Lord farm.
But they'll probably even if they were gonna stick to that 12 regeneration thing, which they're not. You could argue that since the regeneration into the War Doctor was like an elixir, that's not an official regen. Bullshit.
I was wondering about that as well.
Yeah, that's probably, I don't know. That's probably just a whole lot of hoopla.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. I was just gonna say. I mean, I've also heard, that Moffat's also planning on addressing, that specific issue come Christmas.
Oh yeah, he would have to.
I was gonna say this is having additional regenerations. That's completely a Moffat thing, though. I mean, first of all, there's no way they're gonna let the franchise die because it's profitable.
They're really not.
But at the same time too, that's a super Moffat-y move would be to find some sort of really obscure. I mean, bless his soul, but a really obscure loophole or really roundabout loophole. Be like, oh well, the whole time you really had 26 because you're counting in. People years and really,
right.
blah, 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 blah,
Counting
or
people
something.
years. That's an interesting theory.
Uh-huh.
Or, it's just the dog years versus, but it's
Hey, we did say, I did tweet that there'd be crazy bullshit theories on this podcast, so.
Number one.
Yeah.
We're counting wrong.
Do you think, what would you think would be the average Time Lord dog the year?
Not K9.
Well, no, K9's a robot.
Yeah, I know. Well, he's a Time Lord dog, technically.
Wait, what? Now, what did you ask, Taylor? What do you think would be the average?
Well, when we look at it, the average dog year in people years is about 7 years. So
sure.
The thing is a Time Lord dog. I don't know if it'd be the same.
Okay, so if you did the math, you would just have to divide however many years a Time Lord lives by 7. And that's how long a Time Lord dog lives, right? But how many lives does a Time Lord cat have?
See, that's what I'm these are important questions.
It's just things that I think we'll probably get answers to these in the Christmas special. That's forefront. Moffat just really wants to answer your Time Lord animal questions.
That's so Moffat-y. Am I right?
That is so Moffat. Classic Moffat.
Time Lord, what was that show, the Animal Cop show, where they find abused animals and stuff? Have that except on Gallifrey. It'd be so good. I'd watch it.
What was that show? Is that literally
Not
just
Animal Cops, or something like that?
Animal Cops.
Something similar. The major, I loved it. It was just exactly what it should have been, which was an hour and a half of just fan service. But the one thing that kind of confused me is that Matt Smith should have known that plan worked to freeze the planet because of what happened in the End of Time.
Right. I feel I don't know. They have so many convenient. I mean, when you said fan service, that was obvious. But but they have so many convenient loopholes. Like the convenient, like, oh, our time streams are out of sync, so you're not gonna remember that you saved Gallifrey, so you're still gonna think that it burned. You know, the whole, so you can still be really angsty and you don't mess up 9 or 10 or anything like that, and kind of have your cake and eat it too, sort of.
Yeah, and then Matt Smith already said, he's like, I remember this, sort of, like, so he remembers that it happened, even though later they're like, you won't remember this at all.
So Mike, I want you, I mean, just to refresh my memory, just because, I mean, I'm sure that everybody else remembers it, but my memory's a little, explain a little bit about why Smith's doctor should remember based on...
Because they talk numerous times, at least through Tennant's tenure, and also like a little bit in Matt Smith, that the Time War is time locked.
Right.
And in the End of Time, they use the Master and the
Right.
5-point star or whatever to create a road for them all to come back out of this time lock. They talk about I forget what that Dalek's name for the cult of Skaro. He flew into the time lock.
Because Timothy Dalton is the the ruler, and because remember that was really strange, that whole time lock thing.
Well, also, I mean, here's the thing that, and this is why what happened in the 50th anniversary is also at the same time kind of cumbersome, is that what happened to Gallifrey here is different than what we saw at the End of Time. They're two. We're talking about. I know that they like come together and they work together, but like it seems at the same time that they're different.
No, it's exactly the same thing. He was supposed
End of Time.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't think the events of the End of Time could have happened if they had frozen Gallifrey in this stasis, because theoretically it was time locked and they had this one instance, right? So why would they pull it?
Yeah, I mean, because like here's the thing is that like the time lock is different than this painting stasis whatever.
Right.
Like a time lock was put on it to basically say that nobody with the capabilities of time travel can travel back to it and then interfere with it.
Right.
Which is inherently different than the stasis. Like they're two.
No, because they did specifically say that it was frozen in a moment, which is why in the End of Time they talk about the moment. I mean, if that's the case, then we have 3 different possible outcomes for Gallifrey. We have one where it's time locked, where nobody can get to it. We have one where they completely burn the planet, which is what the War Doctor was trying to do. And then you have one where it's where they succeed in freezing it in a moment of time, otherwise known as time lock. Like those are pretty much the same thing. Like they never mentioned
especially the burning one. Especially the burning one is
hairs.
exactly the same.
Yeah,
Also, can I talk about how they're like, oh, we're just gonna remove it and they're gonna shoot each other? Like, what? Really?
And clearly,
that's a little.
Seriously, you're talking about the uppermost being of intelligence that is challenging the beings that literally live for almost eternity.
No, they're not
These
the
are
uppermost.
only things that can challenge them, and this is how we're gonna beat.
They're not the
gonna
uppermost
take
beings of
out of the
intelligence
middle.
because
Don't
they're
worry, all those laser beams just gonna hit each other.
dude. They're
That's why
always what?
I was like, that's why they show that scene where they tried to escape but they didn't try unlocking the doors, because deep down they're really just severely not that smart.
Dude, but that you can't say that they're the most intelligent beings because they are constantly going explain all the time.
They're like, I do not understand. No more.
Wait, how could this happen?
And also, instead of literally wiping out millions of people, they're like, the Doctor!
Every time they meet the Doctor, he's always got to be like, check your memory banks, because they didn't do it. They're like, oh shit, I fucked up. I should have done that in the first place.
Here's the thing. So John Hurt shows up. He's shooting a wall, and then like literally a dozen Daleks. So like throughout the show, Daleks can't figure out who Doctor Who is. They're like, oh my God, just downloaded that memory. He's the Doctor. And yet John Hurt shows up, is shooting a wall, and 12 Daleks go, the Doctor's over there.
Just look at him.
They can't see him. They just know that
God,
he's shooting
and the
wall.
Daleks apparently don't get Google.
Well, Well, theoretically, Matt Smith's doctor, so 11th Doctor, was removing all traces of himself throughout time, right? Would that affect back
I think
in a time-locked period of the Time War?
No.
no, because it's time locked. I don't know.
It's locked upon time.
I don't know.
Time
What does
lock's
what does
problematic.
Wikipedia say? I'm just gonna put we're not gonna talk about this anymore. I'm just gonna put the Wikipedia article up on the stream and everybody can just read it.
You're gonna want to refer to Wikipedia.
I felt like the frozen stasis in time. It reminded me of the Stolen Planet, when they just like removed the planet and put it in a different spot. It reminded me of that sort of recycled theory.
Well, they also know that they put it in a pocket. See, here's the other thing.
You mean like when they towed the Earth home?
Yes, when they towed the
When they
Earth home.
attached a space cable to the Earth and they
That was
just
so
tugged
good.
it home?
BT Dubs, that was a great episode.
Actually, the TARDIS is meant to be flown by 6 people. That's why I'm so shitty at it.
Until River comes along and she's like, just do this button.
You always leave the brakes on.
I'm confused.
Just emergency brake.
How did all of the doctors show up at the end to fucking put it in stasis?
Yeah, exactly. None of them remember it, even though it's happened to them 13 times.
How did that? I'm confused how they all showed up at the end.
They didn't explain that at all.
They just throw the Fez throughout time and space.
Well, see, that's the thing is
they
he's
just
like
open up a couple of holes.
the way they said they did it was they were like, oh, I've been thinking about this a long time. In fact, I've been thinking about it all my life, and that's just like what they said. But it's like, you know that the other doctors don't know that that's going to happen to Gallifrey.
Well, no. Well, I mean, like Tennant. Well, that's
from
but I mean,
John Hurt on. Those are the only
Right,
doctors
so
that know this.
I was
is gonna
gonna say,
happen.
you know, the first 7 Doctors had no Time War.
That's what I'm. Yeah, but at the same time, though, Tennant would have, since the time that of you know the destruction, quote unquote destruction of Gallifrey, Tennant would have been thinking about how he would have done it. And yet, and like so like at the beginning, you're like, oh yeah, sure, he's been thinking about it for hundreds of years, no problem. Except for the fact that like you don't think that your past 10 incarnations also show up in their own TARDISes to all take care of it at the same time. That's not something to factor in. Those aren't calculations
I'm
you can
thinking,
make.
what if we just all showed up at once? That's
Well-
how parties work, right?
Well,
Just
oh,
say,
wait a minute, though. Wait a minute, though. I cracked the case. Clara told them all.
Oh, come
fuck.
on.
Nope, it's done. It's done. Cracked it. That's the only way it could happen.
Unfortunately, that's like
That actually, like,
Shit.
that's a plausible.
he merged
Damn it.
with his whole time stream. Oh fuck.
She synced
shit.
to all their Google Cals.
Could you imagine getting like the Google notification?
The reminder.
Savior of the universe.
Save the universe, save Gallifrey.
Oh shit, I gotta go to that.
Oh, can we talk about like how much of a d-bag Christopher Eccleston is?
Yes, please. And
Oh
why
my
wouldn't
God.
he just at least show up for like 2 seconds?
Just for the regeneration. That's all.
Oh,
I-
man, that would have been real nice.
I actually really liked Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor,
Mhm.
and it makes me so angry that he agreed to appear in G.I. Joe, but he will not appear in the 50th anniversary
He
of
doesn't want to be
Doctor
typecast.
In his
As the
defense,
Doctor.
G.I. Joe was a very, very quality film.
Mm-hmm. See when they're flipping
I
around in their
enjoyed
suits.
it immensely.
But see, here's the thing: is every single interview that I've ever seen of Christopher Eccleston talking about Doctor Who, he is like, oh, there we go. I thought I lost you guys. He's like super like dickish about it. It's like people are like, hey, do you think you'll be in the 50th anniversary? And his answer was literally, I haven't even thought about it. That's in the past for me. Like I don't care. Like, and it's like,
you know what? The fact that he answered like that is completely the. It's like, dude, all that means is that of course you were thinking about it, and you were just thinking about how upset it makes you.
What gets me is that 1, it's really disingenuous, and 2, has he been in? He's not been in a ton else. Right?
Thor 2 and G.I. Joe is all I know of.
He was in Thor 2?
He was the bad guy in Thor 2.
Oh my god, I haven't gone and seen it yet.
He made it. He's in the big time.
Yeah, he made
That's
it.
pretty.
He doesn't do
pretty
Doctor Who
big.
anymore.
He made it. He's in the sequel to the least popular Marvel movie.
How?
How
He's
is the
gonna be
Hulk
in
not the
Hulk
least
3
popular?
next. I was gonna say Hulk clearly.
I
Well,
don't know.
yeah,
No, the
yeah,
Hulk
Hulk.
is way less than Thor. Don't
Yeah, okay, I forgot about Hulk because it's so unpopular.
Not
So
like
unforgettable.
not only, I mean, sure, Hulk has a bunch of movies, but they've already rebooted him twice. Literally in the past
Well,
3
yeah,
movies.
I'm not.
Because of
But
Halo.
I'm talking about like I guess I should have specified that I'm just talking about within the Avengers continuity.
Hulk was in the Avengers. Oh, what are you talking? What? All right, listen. Are you done? You're
I
done.
was gonna
We're
say,
done.
Let's move
I
on.
was gonna say even like I was gonna say almost every single doctor who is alive in some way participated in it. And like for the regeneration scene, how many days would that have taken him to film it? What, like 2?
It would have
No,
been
less.
instant. Like it would have been, hey, stand here and hold your head back like this. Okay, we're done.
It literally would have probably been a half a day of filming.
You know what they could have done is they could have taken those old shots they had of Christopher Eccleston regenerating into Tenet, like the old like
Right.
composited shots,
Do
and just done it in
pull-
reverse,
pull like a South Park after
like Chef.
yeah, do pull a chef where they turn him into Darth, basically into Darth Vader.
I'm gonna
Chef.
make love to you asshole children.
Exactly. That would have been.
Oh man. No, that was really disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
Um
I don't even think they should have given like I guess that would be kind of petty, but I don't even think they should have given him the and for my next trick, like stealing the footage from before. For a second, I was
Right.
really excited because I was like, oh shit, he actually like came back to film a little bit.
Right.
It's like no, he
Right.
didn't.
No. I will say though, I did like all of the, like that footage. I liked all of the old nods, all the Easter eggs sort of. They had like the talk about the round things in the old TARDIS,
Mhm.
and I loved that.
What are the round things?
I don't have any idea. And also like the continuity of Queen Elizabeth, because like in the Shakespeare episode, she yells at him to behead him, and then in that one episode where he's in the Hawaiian shirt talking to the Ood, he talks about how he just married Queen Elizabeth. And
Right.
I thought that's funny to sort of bring that background and to see that
I-
come into play.
I now see why Moffat needed such a long break, because he literally went back and watched every single episode since 2005. He can make as many nods as possible.
I think that this episode is better if you watch it if I were watching everything for the first time, or if I was telling somebody like what to watch and in what order, I would almost tell them to watch this episode right before they watch The End of Time. I think it fits
Absolutely.
better.
Well, I mean, and I was just reading up a little bit. These basically happen at the same time, or not at the same time, but this essentially happens chronologically speaking, which is a freaking terrible thing to try and describe when you're talking
I was
about
gonna
Doctor Who. Right before End of Time, it has to.
Yeah.
Because this is right before Tennant regenerates.
Mm-hmm.
Also, coincidentally, like right before Hurt regenerates, but it's kind of the only way that any sort of continuity makes sense.
And that would explain why that would sort of explain why Tennant doesn't know about the plan working.
So
Right.
I mean,
Oh yeah, that would.
is Matt
But
Smith
not
the only
Bachmann.
one that knows that?
Matt Smith, I think, would be the only one that knows, unless you comb through all the dialogue, and then you'll probably find evidence that David Tennant should have known. But
But no, it was definitely before. It was definitely. I mean, he regenerated right then, so it couldn't. He couldn't have known about the time lock.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, he
Makes
would.
sense somehow.
But
Sure. I mean, at the end of the day, we're talking about a show that is basically built in the viewer's ability to suspend belief in most things to enjoy it. So,
Sure.
and we are the stupid adults that keep trying to find and make sense.
Right.
that's part of the
Well,
fun of it, though.
I think
Well, absolutely.
I think part of the reason that I really liked this episode in particular is because, I mean, I'm a person, I'm one of the people who kind of likes Russell T Davies better than Stephen Moffat, but mainly just because I think that there's a sort of fun that's captured in earlier episodes that's similar to really old school Doctor Who.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought that this episode was there was a nice balance between really serious and feels and just fun. Like,
Yeah.
you know, the alien in this episode, you know, the Zygon or whatever, he reminded me a lot of like the Slovene or something like that, and it was kind of a really weird,
Big
ridiculous.
rubbery suits and
Yeah, and I love
Yeah.
that. I love that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't been able to find too many episodes of old Who that I've been able to stomach. And that's just it can get to a point where it's just too cheesy for me, and at least
Yeah.
like you can hide behind like, you know, better writing and like, you know,
Right.
you know, I don't mind that it's cheesy because it's, you know, it's well written, and there's like
Yeah.
there's breadcrumbs more so in Moffat's era. There's just breadcrumbs
Yeah.
just the whole way through. I mean,
He
they're
Yeah,
loves
no,
the red
I love. Yeah, no, I like Moffat for his striving for, like you said, those breadcrumbs, those moments of continuity that tie together. But I think that sometimes he reaches a little bit too far, and it just either doesn't make sense or it's trying too hard to be clever in a way. Every once in a while,
Yeah,
I get turned
sometimes.
off by that, and I think that there's a lack of, it's like too scary or too not enough fun in an episode. And I thought that this was like the perfect balance that, you know, he finds sometimes. Like this was like the episode with Vincent and the Doctor is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Just because, and it's actually interesting because those are both heavily revolve around paintings. But I think that there's a nice balance between something that's really clever and something that's touching and fun and funny.
Well, you know, it's funny because, you know, one of the big kind of central points to this episode that, you know, that Hurt was a big part of was Bad Wolf.
Yeah.
You know, and Bad Wolf was the Russell T Davies creation.
Yeah.
And Moffat just, you know, he had no problem bringing the core of it into his storytelling. He just,
Right.
you know, he appreciated what Davies did with it and just said, all right, let's, you know, I'm gonna roll with it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it a lot. I mean, for the most part, Moffat and I get along.
You know, you were at dinner with him. And
Personally,
you guys,
You know.
he really appreciates my taste in wine, and I give him great fashion tips.
so amicable.
We're just, you know,
He's
just
the
chatting
nicest.
away.
Yeah.
Guy loves cats.
But yeah, no, I did like the Bad Wolf being brought back in. I thought that was really.
Yeah.
neat.
I mean, it's impressive to me. Like I would watch Doctor Who like forever if it, you know, Russell T Davies never left the show. But part of me likes the you know, the fact that, like, you know, in the 11th hour, you know, one of the last things you hear is Patient Zero or Prisoner Zero being like, silence will fall, and now they're like in Matt Smith's last episode is like, you know, when they're like finally resolving all that stuff
Right.
over a number of seasons, and that's really
Right.
cool that he's able to pull
Yeah, no, that
off.
is really cool.
Some of it's
Oh, yeah,
been
no,
shoehorned along the way, like absolutely, but you know, because you know that like when he decided to bring the silence into it, that's probably him being like, okay, this is what silence will mean, but now it's
then we
gone
can-
so much further than that.
yeah.
So I mean,
no,
yeah,
actually, there are absolutely things I really appreciate. I thought the whole idea of Clara being across ages and times, I thought that was really neat. And the way that they solved that, 'cause there were a million theories, and I had a million theories, none of which ended up being true, but I was still completely satisfied with what that was.
I was surprised. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Leading up to it, you know, with the whole, you know, she's everywhere, she keeps dying, and like I was like, what the fuck are they gonna do with this character?
Right.
And yeah, I mean, just to basically throw her, and this just seems to be kind of part of how Moffat writes, is that he loves to leave himself options for where he's going to go. So putting Clara in saying that she was basically merged with his timeline and just fucking appeared wherever. I mean, he has given himself the ability to say, well, at any point in time, Clara was like, nah, she said that at that time to that doctor. It's
Right,
like
right.
At any point, Moffat can come out and just do that. Just like,
You know, he completely wrote himself. He like completely has like a book of blank checks now. Just be like, oh, we can just throw Clara in here and totally make that okay.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, you know, look at the episode when it was finally revealed. You know, when she went into the time stream, he made a point to show, no, she's there with that doctor and that doctor and that doctor, like just to rub it in your face, like she was everywhere. Like, make sure you understand.
what you thought you knew you don't.
Clara, I do think is probably my favorite companion at this point.
I almost feel like they made too much of her. She became, especially with writing her into the timeline of the Doctor, like it. The companion, or at least the way that I've always felt about it, is like it's supposed to be something that's important, not intrinsic to time, but intrinsic to the Doctor as a person. And like by throwing her into his timeline, like in perpetuality, like it makes it so much more than the human connection that they've always seemed to use the companion as.
Yeah, I think like the thing that I still kind of see her as a human, but the thing that I like about her so much is that she's such a match for the Doctor.
And that you should need to be more than a human for that.
Well, no, it's
humans
just
that humans aren't good enough.
No, actually, no.
That's the opposite of the point the Doctor usually tries to make.
Yeah, only one heart, not good enough.
Yeah, but she like, I mean, it's just that like, even they kind of show that even with sometimes she'll say things that the Doctor would normally say. Like they give like some of the Doctor's lines to Clara just to kind of drive that home. Like the point in what was the name of that episode with the Ice Warrior on the submarine? I don't remember. It doesn't matter.
I don't remember, but I know what you're talking about.
But when he's like go, he's like gonna go check on something, and he tells her to stay here, and she goes okay, and he's like, don't argue with me, and she's like, I'm not. Like, I'm actually like doing what I should be doing, and like then there's other times like when they see the painting, and she's the one to say that's not possible. It's
right. I also find Jenna Coleman just a genuinely likable person on screen.
Oh, it's just so pretty.
Because I mean, like I said, Rose is my favorite, but I actually and I liked Amy at first. I started to have a little bit of an issue with Amy toward the end, but I think that I like Clara as a companion a lot better. I agree. I think that she's a better match in many ways.
Yeah.
I thought Amy was great when she was the girl that was left behind. I think that was when she was at her best as far as being a companion goes. Being the girl that left behind, and then the Doctor was back for her. I mean, and just that series between the two of them was a really great relationship. And I mean, they had to grow the character in some way.
Right.
With Rory, it just made her being the companion to the Doctor much more difficult. But man, I still don't like the way that ended.
Yeah. Something else that I noticed before I forget is that I was watching The Power of Three today, and there's a part when they first go like underneath the Tower of London, and they're talking to like Kate Stewart, and she makes a comment about how they have like, I forget, like death, like these like death robots or something like that, and she's like, oh yeah, we also have these like ravens that'll kill you or something. She made a comment about like these robot ravens that they supposedly had, and it was just like a sarcastic. You were supposed to think that it was just a sarcastic thing, and then in Day of the Doctor, she's like sitting on that park bench, and she's like, the ravens need new batteries. Like,
yeah, that was excellent.
So that's one of the other things that I like so much just about the show in general is that they don't forget anything.
And then when they were walking through the Black Archives, and like they walked past, like they just were panning past stuff really quickly, and you saw like River Song's like red high heel shoes that she uses in one episode, and then you saw the clamps that were used at the Battle of Canary Wharf with Rose and the Doctor. They were just sitting there. And like all these tiny little nods everywhere, and I just thought that was so wonderful.
Right.
So what do we think of at the end there when Matt Smith walks out and it's all the Doctors there? Were they using
is that canon?
Were they using that
just
to say, here's all the Doctors that we've had, happy 50th? Was that just a
closing
remark?
That's all that
is.
Totally
was that was. Yeah, I feel like that's so British.
So British, God.
Yeah.
They love their endings.
They've got like all the Doctors, and then like Pierce Brosnan's in there. It'd be like, wrong series, get out.
British. Do you guys just let anybody with a British accent on the set? What is this?
I mean, James Bond is a Time Lord, right? I mean, that's for sure.
Do you ever see him, like, 007 is theoretically just the title, but you never see more than one 007.
Mm-hmm.
It's true.
Come on.
Just call me 007.
James who? Just the James.
Just James. James who in the newest series.
Oh god.
His time traveling Aston Martin.
Amazing.
He always leaves the emergency brake on. Never gets anywhere.
I was gonna say, I liked, and then there were like the sort of recurring theme thing that was going through. There was like, where they were talking, I loved obviously the whole Sonic things, and they kept, comparing Sonic screwdrivers, but then they had the moment where he said, oh, like, what are you gonna build a shelf? And I think that, wasn't it in the first series with Christopher Eccleston, and I think it was one of the episodes with Jack, when they were in London or something, and he was trying to resonate concrete, and he had the screwdriver, and Jack said to him something like, oh, what are you gonna build a shelf with that? And so there's like all those callbacks again, and then they were talking about how they, all the Sonic screwdrivers are the same software with different casing, which is sort of what the Doctor is as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, for sure. What I would love to see more of is Paul McGann.
Oh my God! How exciting was it to see him in the little mini episode?
Oh, so good.
I thought that was awesome.
More McGann, please. Like, and
I always feel bad. I always feel a little bit bad for Paul McGann, because I feel like people don't. I mean, he's only in the movie, so.
It's good, and the movie's awful, so.
I
like,
know.
The movie's real bad.
Like, what was it? It was like it took him all of 24 hours for people to start a petition to give him a show.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, oh yeah, we forgot about that stinker, but make a show.
There's a ton of I'm sure there's a ton of radio dramas that star Paul McGann's Doctor, but it's like, no, I want to see him on screen because he was awesome. He did a really good job.
He did darn well.
It's like 4 minutes. That's ages. What if I got bored? Need a television? Bring me chess.
Oh man.
Or he's like, bring me knitting.
Well, they did a lot. I mean, and you saw it definitely across this episode too. But with Matt Short talking, they made a real point about the difference in individual doctors, and that seemed to be the main purpose of this episode as well. Obviously, first and foremost, they were trying to retcon the fall of Gallifrey so that they could stop talking about it.
Right.
Basically, they want to not make it a fixture of the Doctors anymore. They want to, from the 13th on, they want to say, all right, good. Just so everybody's clear, we don't need to have a Doctor who's fawning over this mistake that they made over and over and over.
Right.
They can now forget about it.
Well, they may not forget about Gallifrey and the fact that it's time locked, because they hinted that he's going to go try and find it.
Yes,
right.
Obviously.
But it's a new sort of drive. As opposed to, I'm driven by my guilt. He'll be driven by his desire to be reunited with his people or to save his people.
Basically, instead of traveling through time over and over and over and gathering a new companion here and there to basically try and find redemption in himself, it's more of this mission. I mean, they've always had kind of underlying major story points that are driving the Doctor and the companion forward. But I mean, it'll almost be interesting to have kind of a goal from the outset. To know ahead of time that the Doctor and his companion might be going after this one thing is going to be different than
right. And that, like you said, that also, like when you're saying with Moffat, he likes to leave himself options in a way that opens up a completely new, palette to work with.
Yep.
Having that as a quest, and to go back to what you're saying about sort of setting up that all of these Doctors are very different sort of thing. It was interesting because in some ways, when Matt Smith came on, you're like, oh yeah, he's different, but he's still a lot like David Tennant or something. But then there was that moment where UNIT was debating whether they were going to, kill millions of people in London to save, to save the world, and Matt Smith, the 11th Doctor, was trying to talk them out of it, and 10 just explodes and says, you're going to regret it for your whole life, and just yells at them, and 11 looks at him shocked, and you kind of forget how angry the 10th Doctor could be.
Yeah,
Right.
he was just an angry person.
Well, even
Yeah,
that,
he-
even the fact that it's like, it's also pretty much what the Doctor was going to do or thinks that he did,
Yeah.
to Gallifrey. So he's speaking from experience there.
Mhm, mhm.
Yeah, I mean, my point before was that they took advantage of the fact that they were going to have three doctors on screen to say, look, just see how different they are. And I mean, it would have been awesome if Eccleston was there too, to have kind of those in a series.
Right.
So it's a real shame that we missed that one because, you see, all things considered, Eccleston's doctor was pretty happy-go-lucky considering what he just left from.
Right. Well, he was.
I mean, he was kind of trying to find shelter from himself.
Well, and how long? I mean, because what's the age of? Oh no, he is in his 900s. Okay, so yeah, relatively speaking, because John Hurt's doctor is still in his 900s, and
Right.
which is
Well, yeah,
also where
they said like from John Hurt to 11th Doctor, it was 400 years, is what they said.
Well, no, because I mean, when Matt Smith first came on, he was still in his 900s.
Right.
He gained like 300 and some odd years, which probably makes him the longest regeneration.
So, here's a question, because obviously, Matt Smith didn't have the longest run. I mean, longer than Eccleston, but almost none of this time was on screen. So, what's the point? Why give him so much time? Why give that doctor's incarnation so much, just years?
I think that did we ever really realize that it was that many years before this episode?
Well, and the other thing that I'm confused about the Doctor's age, or at least how they arrived at it, because it was
Right.
the Impossible Astronaut when he's like, yeah, I came back, I'm 1200, and they're like, wow, you're a whole lot older. But that Doctor gets killed off, and they come back and they
Right.
meet up with the previous Doctor, who I think was still young. So I don't know what all has happened in between that time. But
Right. And I mean, maybe they just did it for the sake of this episode in the idea that
To prepare for
yeah,
Christmas / further.
right, and yeah, exactly. To separate, to really make a marked difference between each of the doctors, and sort of, they said like, the man who regrets versus the man who forgets, and that kind of thing, to make more of a marked difference between, oh well, he was really bitter and now he's moved on to the point where he's forgotten about it or something like that. So they're trying to make it more distinct.
yeah, because Matt Smith hasn't really dwelled on it since like the second episode, like right
Yeah.
after the 11th hour, where he's like,
Right.
yeah, there were more, but it's just me now, and then just
Right.
hasn't talked about it anymore.
And then it just didn't bring it up again.
Yeah.
Well, and they, Moffat made sure that was apparent, when they were all in the Tower of London, when Hurt's asking them about how many children there were, and Smith's like, I don't remember. And then, the confrontation between him and Tennant in that scene, I found to be kind of powerful. When Tennant throws out the number and it's like, what do you mean you forgot? I said,
Yeah.
I moved past it. It's like that. You can't move past it.
Right.
And it's true. And it's.
Yeah, but he also didn't know it was coming for him.
Well, that's
with
true.
the end of time, like.
Well,
Now,
yeah.
my question is, because I adore the show, I watch every episode. When you see the all three doctors together, and you tell yourself they're the same person. Do you get that feeling in the episode that you were watching the same person at different points, or the same being rather?
Sometimes.
At the same
But
different
that's
points in their life?
that's kind of the point, is that they're not the same person.
Yeah.
They're the same person, but they're not the same person.
Right, but I sometimes, every once in a while, I view them as completely separate entities, and I'm like, no, I have to keep them as one. And you have to wonder how it went from Tennant to Smith in terms of making himself forget about something so horrible or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I just found that like what happened would it really have happened that he would have gone to the point where he doesn't seem to care, is very flippant about the
Right.
Time War.
I mean, that's another part of, going 400 years.
Yeah,
Right.
living 50% of your life.
Right,
Yeah.
that's true. That's true. That's like a full Time Lord dog right there.
Forgot what I was gonna say.
So many Tyler dogs.
Sorry.
Oh shit, that would be such a fucking awesome dog.
That would be. But then you would like get so confused because if it went missing and it got like hit by a train, you'd have all these pictures
Oh
of
my
it
God,
out
and
and
it would be
about,
the
and then it
same
wouldn't look
dog
the same anymore.
That would be the worst.
It'd
Could you
come
imagine?
back and like it left as a Doberman, it comes back as like a German Shepherd or something.
But it would still respond to the same name.
Doctor.
Dr. Doge.
Dr. Dog.
Dr. Doge. There we go. That works.
Very Time Lord.
Very
Yeah.
Much Gallifrey. Wow.
Much TARDIS.
So science.
Yeah.
Oh my god. But a question: what are sand shoes?
I don't know. I kept trying to
Those are
see
the
his shoes,
that
but
David Tennant wears.
he's just wearing the Converse,
They're
I think.
tennis shoes, right? But why do they call them sand
They
shoes?
they were
I don't
sand
know.
colored, maybe. I don't know.
Maybe they meant sand shrews, and they were making a nod to Pokemon.
Yeah, one of the things that I feel like Moffat has always been really good about is just really referencing Pokemon in every
You're
episode.
Drop
really
those
slipping
Pokemon
those in.
hits.
Do you remember when that awesome scene when David Tennant and Matt Smith talked about their favorite Pikachus? It was just so good.
They battled that wild Charizard.
Oh man. BT
What's
Dub,
the-
Sand
oh,
Slash.
John, actually, that's John Hurt. He regenerates into a Charizard.
Do you know that Charizard's only 5'7"? Can you believe that shit?
That's short.
5'7", 195. That's it.
I'm
That's it.
5'7". I'm as big as a Charizard.
Yeah, think about that.
I've always said that about you.
It's true. Mike sent me a direct message before this. He was like, "Listen, Chick Sarah, just FYI, tall as a Charizard."
Tall as a Charizard.
Just
I'm
wanna
gonna
make
list
sure
that on
you're
my
aware.
driver's license.
Height, Charizard.
A Charizard.
And the cop pulls out his like standard police issue Pokédex. He's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, that checks out. That checks out.
Carry on. Okay, I have a question.
Yeah.
So, if at the end where Clara's saying, "You're the warrior, you're the hero, and you're the doctor," what does that make the 12th Doctor? What is he going to be? What is he now? He's just the Doctor?
You mean the 13th Doctor?
Well, theoretically, but I think.
Well,
that
no,
if you're gonna be
Math is
doing
still the 12th Doctor.
Then I'm gonna have to punch you.
That's actually good. That they better not do that. I hope that it's still like everybody's the Doctor except for Hurt, who's they just refer to as the War Doctor from here on out.
I think that you'd be like, that'd be so pedantic to say, just to be like, oh, I think that you mean that Matt Smith is the 12th Doctor. Like, everybody, like, you use a number system so that people could reference it. We all know that Matt Smith is the 11th Doctor.
Right.
Except the War Doctor.
I think part of the reason for this episode was to flesh out Hurt and show that he was also the Doctor.
Right.
He wasn't just the warrior. He, by the way that the three of them came together and found an alternative.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
Right, but they don't remember any of that.
Right.
Well, they don't. It doesn't.
You're not gonna remember any of this, so why are we talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, we might as well. This podcast is stupid. None of them are gonna remember.
We're not gonna remember this tomorrow.
All of our time streams are out of sync, so.
All right, now I remember what I was gonna say. So, the whole thing with the fucking shape-shifting aliens is basically, am I mistaken? It's just unresolved. Like they leave them in the room.
Yep.
Yeah.
They make them all forget who was an alien and who was a person.
Yeah, and by the way, how
And
did
then
they do that?
And then they all. Well,
They did it with the memory things. They did set that up ahead of time.
Oh yeah.
They
okay,
modified
you're right,
the
they did.
memory modules to make them all
You're right.
free. But then they just all fucking up and left after Hurt bounced, and then Clara was like, "Hey guys, Hurt's not here anymore," and then they all just went with him, and then. Cool.
So
That's
they all
exactly
just
what
are
happened.
They're just living like they're each other's roommates now. They're all just living with a clone of themselves.
Everybody's got their clone. And also, I'm sorry, I don't care if you have memories or not. You're gonna know if you're an alien in human skin. That's gonna be kind of like intrinsic.
Yeah, the lady's like, what would happen if I take my shoes off? Well, if you were actually a Zygon, you'd know. Like, guess what? We cracked the case.
She hands the inhaler to her. It's like, does that immediately mean that we know which one is the real one?
No, because she did
because
say.
remember when she mimicked her, she took the inhaler. She's like, oh, I hate getting the ones with the defects because she needed the inhaler because she was defective essentially. So I think that she did that because it was like, oh, we're showing goodwill to each other. Ha.
But what?
It didn't make sense.
Okay, I was just gonna. Okay, so I mean, like they get them to stop the countdown by making them all forget if they're an alien or a human. And then they're like, all right, good, now that bomb is defused, let's get the fuck out of here.
So, the more important question remains, the horse. Was that the horse? Was that Arthur from the episode? Does anybody remember the episode where they're on the like French spaceship in time?
Oh,
and
yeah.
He really wants to keep the horse Arthur. Was that Arthur? And does that mean that Ten is responsible for the Zygons invading the Earth? I think it does.
Oh, you mean like the Zygon in the episode, like the girl in the
Yeah, 'cause
fireplace?
he rides his own
You went
horse.
real deep right there.
I just got real.
Holy
Well, I saw the
shit.
white horse, and I was like,
Oh,
Arthur.
all of the craziest theories.
Theory number
I'm like, I don't know. Is it not? I'll never.
Well, no, it's
Hold on,
actually
I'm gonna Google this episode.
actually that's theory number 3 because you're forgetting about theory number 2, which was the war theory.
Okay.
So that was just making a joke about a doctor's numbering scheme because the war doctor.
Oh, but I forgot
Yeah.
because our timelines were out of sync, so I totally forgot
Yeah,
that we had made
yeah.
that joke.
I think
I'm gonna use that for any time I forget anything from now on. Oh, our time streams must have been out of sync.
Especially your time stream. Your time, like my time stream is good because this is my time stream. Your time stream is fucked.
Yeah, so I think that might be a good place to call it. As good a place as any, anyway.
So, I mean, to kind of wrap it, I mean, Christmas episode is going to be bonkers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does anybody have any theories about how 11's gonna go before we head out?
Cybermen are going to be in the episode.
You think so?
I'm calling it.
They were just in an episode though. They were in Neil Gaiman's episode.
Cybermen are. It's a Christmas episode. Cybermen are like in every Christmas episode.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah.
It seems like that's like they're like, oh, what are we gonna do? I don't know. It's a Christmas episode. Throw more Cybermen in
Throw
there.
Cybermen in there.
What else are we gonna do?
Fucking Cybermen, I guess. Like, whatever.
Yeah.
Moffat's
I
like,
think-
fuck it.
I was wondering if he was gonna die at his grave, or regenerate there.
Yeah,
or
that's
maybe
the
he
thing.
won't go back there.
I think that it's interesting because they brought it up to Tennant, or I mean, because Tennant brings it up to Matt Smith is like, oh, I really don't want to die there, and so like
Where do you want to die, sir?
but to have Matt Smith
I don't
go
want to die there.
and basically bury himself would be like, all right, good. Now we don't have to worry about
The
that.
thing is, they've already gone through the whole route of like, oh, the doctor's got to die,
Right.
and here's how he cheats that
11
shit.
times.
Well, no,
What?
but like.
Spoilers.
The doctor's gonna die, and you know that he's not gonna regenerate. You just know that he's gonna get out of it somehow, and that's how he did it with robot, whatever its name was. I don't know.
The robot.
Clearly he's not gonna get out of it, but he's also not gonna die either. So, whatever.
Wow.
Well,
They
I can't
Okay.
wait.
They
I-
still They still didn't do that thing when like Dorian. Remember when he's like at the fall of the 11th when no living creature can speak falsely or fail to answer when the question will be asked. And that's like, that never happened. Like, they were at Trenzlore, but that wasn't a rule. So I don't know if that's going to happen in the next episode or what.
Yeah. I don't know.
I just, are they gonna do the split season thing again next?
Probably. They did that.
Oh,
They're doing
so
that for budgetary reasons, I'm pretty sure.
What?
Mm.
Doesn't the show like make all the money?
Oh, it makes buku bucks, and that's why it's still in the air. But they don't want to like
You
reduce.
don't want to spend it.
Well, they don't want to like
They
reduce the
spent all
amount.
that helicopter scene at the beginning of this episode. Come
If
on.
I spend it all, how am I gonna fill my pockets?
The next Doctor's outfit is going to be made completely out of like 100-pound notes.
No, it's literally just a giant potato sack. It's just
It's-
hemp potato.
It's just gonna be a dress made out of Kobe beef.
And he's just gonna stand in his studio with a chair, and that's gonna be his TARDIS.
And we're gonna be like, wow, Doctor's really dressing down, huh? It's like, yeah, but it-
Doctor Who one-man show with nothing but a chair on stage? Yes, please. Oh, there's a Zygon, and they're invisible this time. I'll just use my invisible everything's invisible. My invisible screwdriver.
He has to make his own sound effects.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Okay.
Jesus Christ.
A night with the Doctor, one night only. All right, that's the sound of us jumping the shark. So I think it's
Yeah,
a good
that's
place
true.
to end
It is.
it. Thanks for listening to us babble on and on about the Doctor Who 50th anniversary special. Be sure to tune in for our
See you
75th
at
anniversary. Yeah. I'm Mike Bachmann. You can follow me at the Mike Bachmann.
I'm Taylor Bliss. You can find me at Taylor Bliss.
And I'm Sarah Thompkins. You can find me at Her Lady
Blah, blah,
Thompkins.
blah. Oh, sorry, my bad. I don't know what happened there.
mean. That was just mean. I hope you don't regenerate.
Oh, whoa.
Lose your time, dog.
I hope you get killed before
That's
you can
messed up.
regenerate.
Don't listen. Take it out on me, not the time dog.
People should also follow at Geekly Inc. since no one else is saying it.
Oh yeah, follow at Geekly Inc. Man, this is why you don't let me be in charge of things, because I'll leave all that shit out. All that shit.
Seriously, you guys should make me the host again. Remember, like that one so well.
it was good stuff. Really great stuff. All right, kids. I'm gonna stop the stream. Thanks for listening.
Adios.
Adios.
Have a good night.